regards to some discussion, just want to, as we are becoming more transparent to everyone, despite I need your assistance on this, the Vivian property in 2008, which was how many years ago? About 3 years ago, we decided to purchase, opening up a new avenue to get to Willoughby Farm. That avenue, that house, was going to be used for future environmental programs. There was an intern that stayed there for a year. What other things were going to happen on that venue?
Well, the guys that put up the barn stayed there too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that was a whole big barn. At that time when we purchased property, the barn was going on. But the intent of the property purchase was, so that you guys are familiar with why and everyone is familiar with what direction we were coming from, so it wasn't stated in the minutes, was a connection to Willoughby Farm, a opportunity to use that house as a mechanism for future programming.
There are offices.
Offices. Okay.
And there was the ground.
And the ground too, yes. And then, I don't know, when was it the decision that we were going to sell? That's been in
You're right.
works for
And
over 2 years.
You're right. And
So it was kind of like we went down that route and we decided that it wasn't going to work out. So then this whole process of trying to sell has been a fiasco because we had to go through the city to get zoning approval, and then we had to do, so it's not like we want to keep this property. We see that we're moving it on. It's just the steps of government that we have to do as a government entity. The other thing I wanted to clarify is the city agreement, the city property building. Tell me a little bit, you're more familiar with that.
We pay a $1 year lease for the property.
So City of Collinsville had the properties. When we became CARD, then we took over the management of it. Did, Mary Ann would probably be the best, was that ever approached to Maryville that we would manage their parks for them? And did they choose to say yes or no at that time? Do you
I
remember?
think they were approached at one time and
They chose not to.
they chose not to.
So that's why we are not managing their parks.
No, you're right, Joan. And,
Yeah.
and I've had conversations with the mayor about that, and he indicated that at some point, and I don't know if it was at the direction of the board or not, he was approached by Mark Badish regarding assuming the parks in Maryville. And I won't repeat what the mayor said, but he indicated that was not something they were willing to do.
Okay.
But you're right.
But I want us to be, we're moving towards change. I want to be, open and respond to the best of our abilities, what's gone on in the past and where we're moving, where we're making changes. We had different leadership. Leadership had a different vision that I succumb to. I would have to say that I am a recreator and I look for opportunities. I look for really cool opportunities that would happen. Sometimes, yes, it's going to be expensive, and there wasn't a lot of support out in the community. Not community, out in the meetings. We had no one attending. So we're going with, okay, this is, we did studies, we did different strategic plans, and this is the direction we wanted to go. More of this, more of that. So that's just where we went. We see that, okay, that's not working. So I think that we're doing our best to change that direction and start opening our eyes more and making that change. So I want to be honest and upfront with you guys and tell you that's where I'm coming from.
I don't remember why it stopped, when it stopped. It stopped a couple of years ago. But for a number of years, we put all of the Maryville park projects in our guide that we were putting out.
Oh yeah, that's
true.
Yep.
And then something transpired and then it ceased to be
Okay, that's true. I do remember that too. Just some discussion. I just wanted to open up to those.
You'd like to?
I guess I just resent the implication that I had something to do with the purchase of the Vivian property. And it was very clearly made here tonight. And I'm required to be at every board meeting
Right.
when I was superintendent of recreation, and I will continue to be here. And because I was present does not mean I was involved in any, and I mean any, of those discussions for that property.
Staff has their presence, but they're not. The decision was made by the board at that time, and that was our decision at that time.
And I think everybody at this point knows the direction that we're moving with regard to the Vivian and the Terra Lane properties at this point. And you know, as far as Maryville, and you know, it's a relationship that, and Mark mentioned in his comments, and it's a relationship that I know that the board wants to work to improve. And I'm, you know, I have a good relationship with the mayor, and I intend to work hard to improve that. And I'm going to start by suggesting that we put their activities in a book.
Yeah.
So, we'll that, see how it goes.
Yeah, we have not heard from them for quite a while.
Olive branch, I will go. So, if there being nothing else,
I'm going to ask for an exception to the public comment rule for about 2 minutes. Just a thought that has come to my mind since Joan had talked about transparency that may be of some interest to the board. It's up to you.
You asked for it.
all right,
I'll just stay right here. In light of the transparency idea that you all had, there's one thing that municipalities don't do generally because they don't have a lot of revenue producing situations, and that's to factor in the cost of capital of operating Arlington Greens and anything else for which bond issues have been issued. It's important, I think, for you all to know what's it costing us truly, including our interest and our principal payments, to operate these particular facilities. They've had a great time down at Arlington Greens the last couple of months, but we don't have any idea whether that's even covering costs or not. It's covering operating costs, but it may not be covering cost of capital. So I throw that out to you for what it's worth, and see if it makes any sense.
it does be, and you know, I'm sure that our next meeting we're going to get a good update on that from Mark Uzo, see where we are, hopefully dollars wise on the year. And I mean, Richard pointed the revenues are up, so that's positive. It's a work in progress.
Thank you.
There being nothing else, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Jones, second by Spike. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. All right, thanks, folks.